My name is Natasha Chunya, and I am the director for Diaspora Connect, and I'm also the managing partner of Folotia and Chunya. Before I start, I would just like to once again echo our thanks to His Excellency for allowing us to use this facility to spread the word about what it is that our service offers. And also I'd like to thank the mission staff who have been exemplary in assisting us to put this together. So I have a presentation prepared, and we're a small group, so I would like it to be very interactive. I don't want to stand here and talk for 20 or 30 minutes. I hope that we can share some opinions and some views so that even as we are here, we're refining what our product offering is. Okay, so Diaspora Connect is basically what we're trying to say is that there is a safe and reliable way for you to buy property back home. We know that some people who have tried to invest back home have lost money, maybe they've been swindled by family and friends, and we're here to put a stop to all of that. So this service is aimed at yourself, Zambians who are living abroad. And what we want to do is introduce the concept that there is a safe way to buy property. We want to inform you about how you can buy property in Zambia and make other investments. And we really do want to help you make an informed decision. We know that these decisions, buying property is a big decision. It's not something that is done lightly. So we really want to help you make an informed decision and assist you with the whole buying process. I know that when you've been away from home, if you've been away from home for a long time, maybe the actual procedure might be a bit strange. It might be a bit of a mystery. So we're here to help you to get all of that done. So in coming up with any new product or service, you obviously have to do your market research. And so we did our own survey online. We reached out to Zambians living abroad, and we wanted to find out about what the challenges are. So we got quite a good response. We had 100 responses. And we had more women than men responding, and I think that's in line with a lot of studies. Mostly women are more active online than men. And what we found is that most of the challenges were on information. So a lot of people who are living abroad, they don't really know what opportunities are available. And so because of that, there's a challenge on where to invest. You know, there's so many different areas or different residential developments that have come up, so that if you've been away for a long time, you might not know about these opportunities. Also, we found that there's no consistency in terms of what information is available. So you find that online, there are a lot of sensational news sites, but if you want more serious investment information, it's hard to come by that kind of information on a consistent basis. There are also challenges in terms of how the system works. As I alluded to earlier, a lot of people don't understand how the bureaucracy works. They don't understand the whole process that you have to go through at the Ministry of Lands. It's all shrouded in mystery. And there's also a feeling that, there's corruption and apathy, so if you really want to do something, it's very difficult, and this isn't the case. So other challenges we found were on financial services. A lot of people don't have a working bank account. They've been away, so obviously there's no point in maintaining an account. Sometimes it feels as though it's too expensive to do that. And also, people don't know which reliable service providers to use. If you haven't been home, then it's difficult to know who you can trust if you want to undertake a building project or buy a property. And safe and secure buying procedures. I think I already mentioned this, that there's a lot of people don't understand what the conveyancing procedure is. And the last point there is that what came up, which was very interesting, is that there's sometimes a gap between us and them. I think sometimes people who've been away when they're at home or when they return home, they feel that there's a bit of tension between Zambians who have been living in Zambia and Zambians who've been living away. So Zambians who are at home might say, well, it's okay, you haven't had to go through 8 hours of load shedding, or you haven't had to suffer through depreciations and things like that. So we really want to bridge that gap between us and them. So does this sound like some of the challenges you feel that you face when you've thought about buying property at home? Are there any other challenges that maybe haven't come out? Money. Yes, we'll get to money. And that's why one of the challenges is also financial services, because a large number of our respondents actually said that one of the challenges was not being able to access financial services. Yes, sir.
I wanted to add also perceptions. They've been away for too long, so the development that is taking place there, most people are not aware.
Yes.
So they can't appreciate how fast things are moving there.
Absolutely.
What they perceive Zambia to be when they left, or the few times they've been, is not what it is really. So it's moving quickly.
Yes, absolutely. I think Zambia has really changed in the last 10, 20 years. And like you point out, things are moving at a very rapid pace. So I think that also points to that lack of information, there's no source of consistent information on what's going on at home. Yes?
I think the other thing is the bank rates, the interest rates are, we are not used to those interest rates of 20%, 80%.
They're 40% now.
Those interest rates, and too much bank charges in Zambia. So even that, I think whoever is responsible for the central bank and all these money policy makers, fiscal fund, I think they have to look at the bank charges. It's too much. Maintaining an account in Zambia, even if you do not withdraw, even if you've got a credit balance, you still have a bank charge. Here, when you have a credit balance, you put in £10. After 3 months, you still find your £10. In Zambia, you put in £10. After 3 months, it will be £2. If they open up, they're asking you, telling you that you got an overdraft. Can you put in some more money? So there is this, they're not helping at all. I mean, I've got a bank account in Zambia, and stamp charge is something else. The bank charges are just, the country has to look at the bank charges. It is too much, because banking system is when you deposit money, lenders use that money and the bank gets the interest. Why should they get an interest from somebody who's got a credit balance in the account? You're actually lending the bank that money, so you're lending the bank and they're the one who's paying interest. So I think those charges are the ones that threaten some of us.
Yes. No, yes. I think that what we've seen is an escalation of costs that we're going through. So I totally agree with you too. Borrow now in Kwacha is actually very expensive. And many financial institutions are not wanting to lend in Kwacha because they don't want to see their clients default. So a lot of them are now looking to see how they can lend in foreign currency. Yeah. Which, the interest rates are far, far lower. But I totally agree with your point. We argue every day with our bank about bank charges. So just to let you know that the respondents that we have for the survey were from around the world. We had a big response from Southern Africa, as we expected, and on top, of course, yourselves, people living in Europe, and also in Australia, where we know there's a very big Zambian contingent. But we also know that, in America, but we also know that there are Zambians living in other parts of the world where we didn't get responses, but we know they're very active, such as the Far East, China, and also South America. So those are some of the places where we didn't hear back from Zambians, but we know that they've got quite big communities, India, etc. Okay, so in terms of the profile of people who were responding to the survey, we found that Zambians who live abroad are, on the whole, generally quite well educated. So 40% had a minimum of a bachelor's degree, and I think another 20% had master's degrees. 80%, slightly over 80% were looking to buy within the next 18 months. So that tells us that there's a real demand, there's a real need there. And 40% are looking to spend between $30,000 to $90,000. That's a big bracket, and of course we could have chopped it up even smaller. But we think that for that kind of range, there's a lot of property that can be made available. And also, almost a third need help with the paperwork for those who wish to return home. So I know that you can't put everybody into one box. A survey is just, you're trying to pick certain themes that come out. That was the kind of profile that we got. In terms of remittances, I just wanted to share with you some information from Bank of Zambia, which we found quite interesting. So remittance inflows into Zambia are quite high. They're around the $50 million mark, and this was for 2013 and 2014. Bank of Zambia tells us it's very difficult to estimate this figure, but so in other words, it could be even higher. But remittances peaked in 2012 at about 70 million. Now, Bank of Zambia thinks that this figure could be even higher. So even though it is around $15 million, it could be a lot higher if people in the diaspora are sensitized on investment opportunities at home. And also if there's a better use of technology to stimulate and channel remittances into the country. And I think one of the points that you brought up is also something that has got Bank of Zambia's attention, which is the cost of remittances. They realize that it's actually very high. And if those costs were brought down, that figure could be even higher. I think another issue, which isn't on the slide, but that will have a positive impact on remittances is dual citizenship. Once that actually comes into implementation, I think that a lot of people will be sending home. So we see the Diaspora Connect service as meeting some of those challenges that BOSS has set out, because we do intend to provide you with those investment opportunities, and we also want to leverage the use of technology in order to do so. Okay, so we obviously looked at all this information, and there were other studies that we looked at, but I'm going to take you to study after study. But what we felt is that Diaspora Connect is really ideal for the Zambian who no longer lives in Zambia and is working abroad, returns to Zambia occasionally or even infrequently, but intends to return permanently someday. They want to have some kind of private investment in Zambia. They also want to access land, but they have insufficient information on how to do this. They believe that the procedures at home are quite cumbersome, and they find it difficult to access credits in order to buy property or invest at home. Does this sound correct? Are we looking at the ideal market? Yeah. So we feel that we're providing a compelling service because we're bringing together different developers onto one platform. So that will address the issue of information on where to invest, how to invest. And also we're talking to financial institutions that are very eager to provide you with financial services. And also there'll be our firm, Folatia and Shumia, that will provide you with the legal services in order to process your title deed. And all of this will be online on one platform.
Can I ask one thing?
Yes.
As a legal firm, are you going to sort of come up with an understanding or having a lesser kind of interest rates for the people who live in the diaspora when they have sort of, if they get, let me say, a mortgage to buy property back home, so that they're not paying those very, very high charges because they don't live at home at all?
Okay. We don't set interest rates, so the financial institution will have a rate that they set. What we can do is look at how we can encourage the institution to see if they're willing to provide you with a foreign exchange loan, so that, rather than 40% in kwacha, maybe it will be 4 or 5% in dollars. Yeah. So that's what we'll be seeking to do. In terms of the property and the payment of the property, there we have more flexibility to negotiate with the developer.
Yeah, maybe just to add on, maybe as a writer to it, I think we should also look at it, maybe not just one way, but the other way. Also, monies are coming from here, like a loan. You can actually get a loan, but this is just some food for thought for yourselves. Because the financial institution here actually also provide that kind of financing. So I think we should also look at it that way, rather than thinking that you're going to get money from Zambia, because Zambia money will be very expensive. So I think maybe it's something that...
I think that's a good point. Are there challenges that you face in trying to access facilities here?
Yes, there are challenges. It's not. It's certainly easier to get a mortgage here than it might be in Zambia, but there no doubt that there are challenges here. And I would question whether a bank, a building society, would be prepared to lend money on property in another country.
Yeah.
I would question that. Because I know that when it comes to purchasing property in this country, I've done it myself a number of times, there are all sorts of checks and balances that are put into place by the mortgage company for the mortgagee to uphold, and it's very difficult even within this country. So I'd be very surprised to see them lending money for land, property in another country. It may be possible, but I can't see it somehow.
Unless it's a case of the law.
But that's never of the quantity that you would need. You know, they might do for a motor car, that sort of thing, and then you divert that. But if you were to say, in all honesty, that the money is for purchasing property abroad, I'd be very surprised if you'd be able to access that.
Yes, please.
I was just thinking.
Sorry, just behind you, then I'll
Oh, okay.
Is it me?
Yes.
I think just what the gentleman was saying, the bank is not going to give you money for a property in Zambia. That they won't do, because they've always asked a reason as to why you're getting a loan. That's the first thing. They've got to satisfy them with why you're getting the money. Now, I think the contentious point here is that people that are in Zambia, or people that live in Zambia, they've always thought that we do get a lot of money here, which we actually do. But then you've got to think that the cost of living in this country is very, very high, such that it's not very easy for me to save up the money and come and pay for a house in Zambia for 300,000 kwachas. You see? So I think what would help through this that we're talking about is maybe through you guys trying to negotiate with the banks or the financiers in Zambia that they should come up with some sort of a mortgage kind of arrangement like they do here, a mortgage for 25 years, such that from what I get paid or whatever the money that I get to have every month, I can easily save up something small, say £300-400 towards my mortgage in Zambia, which will be, I think, quite enough to pay off. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, yes, it does.
Yeah, that's sort of a thing. Otherwise, you trust me. I think I'm always up and down in Zambia. I know what it is there. It's not very easy that one could come up with that sort of money or come up with that sort of, unless you're doing something else. So straight working, that's not going to work.
Yeah. No, I think your input is valuable. I think that when I come to the presentation on the financial institutions that we've been talking to, I'll shed light on some of the different products. But there is long-term money that is now available in Zambia. Maybe not up to 25 years, but you can get a mortgage for up to 20 years. But then again, one proviso is that it depends on your age. Yeah, because the bank will look at your retirement age and calculate backwards.
It's the same thing as here.
Yes, yeah. So, you know, if you're 50, you won't be able to get a 20-year mortgage. But it is possible to get 20-year mortgages. Yes, Mr. Zuki.
It's similar to that, but I was just thinking that perhaps within the diaspora policy, there could be some discussions with the government to talk to some banks, such as the African Development Bank, where facilities could be negotiated to allow us here to be able to access finance.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry, it's not to really, that is a point taken, Zulu, but also, I think, gentlemen, also, let's look at these problems as opportunities for business for us who are in the diaspora. In terms of linking financing here and financing in Zambia, for me, I look at this as a challenge to us. Those of you in the private sector, look at it as a business opportunity. Maybe that's just I wanted to say.
In the meantime, it can be an investment.
Yes.
It might pay itself. You know, if you put your house on rent, if you are sure of getting the rent every month and whatever the things, maybe they can be able to be paying your monthly.
Yes, exactly.
Maybe it just depends.
Yes.
You have to wait.
You have to weigh the pros and cons. Thank you. So we have we put all the data together and we came up with our tale from the diaspora. So we have our model family. What do we call it? Just go back. I've forgotten their names. Mansa, and their family. Okay. So we just came up with a story just to kind of explain who we're dealing with. So once and Nyambe moved to the UK when they were both at university. After university they got married, they got jobs, and they settled into British life. After 15 years they realized although they had financial stability, something was missing. Their children didn't know their extended family, didn't know the grandparents or the cousins as well as they should. And we find once and Nyambe are missing home. The bank accounts have been closed, and it's not so easy to transfer funds to friends or relatives. They are ready to buy a property within the next 18 months and invest a certain amount, $30,000, but they don't know where to start. So that's just an example, that's just a scenario. And where we would come in is in providing what we feel are the 3 key services, as I mentioned earlier, which is the property developers, the mortgage and financial services, and ourselves providing the legal services. So we find that our young couple find that the gap between us and them has reduced significantly, and they were finally receiving the right kind of information from a credible source, and also they're making plans to make their big investment back home. They feel confident, and trust has been rebuilt. And this is all through the Diaspora Connect service. Okay, so how are we going to do it? So we're going to engage with you as the diaspora. We're going to use a lot of social media to reach you where you are. It's not every month that I'll be able to come out here. So we want to be able to reach you through the internet. And we want to create an awareness of all the opportunities that are available. We also want to build a relationship with you because we know that it is something that takes time to build a trustworthy relationship. And in doing so, we want to provide engaging content. So we're not just going to put anything out there for you to waste your time when you're reading it. We want to provide information about the purchasing procedures through our newsletter so that you begin to familiarize yourself with the process so that when you decide to buy, you feel well informed. We'll also be giving you content on the financial institutions that we're going to be working with. As I mentioned, we'll be advising you on the legal side as well. I'm sorry, if you can just go back. And then in terms of offering credible solutions, we're only going to be working with credible service providers. So of course with the financial institutions it's easier because they're all regulated by Bank of Zambia. But even in terms of the developers that we're working with, they're all seasoned developers, they have a track record. 1 or 2 of them are our clients, so we can vouch for them. And we rate all of them to make sure that we're bringing you credible people. Okay? And that will give you the transparency and certainty that you're looking for. So just to tell you a little bit about our firm now has been in business for 9 years. We're a specialist law firm that focuses on corporate and commercial law. One of the areas that we've really done a lot of work in, probably more than most of our competitors, is in conveyancing and property development. We don't litigate, we don't do criminal law, so you won't find me or my partner at the constitutional courts. We are available for our clients all the time. And because of that, because of the amount of property work that we've done almost, actually we've exceeded that number now, we've done way over 3,000 sales. And not just for property developers, but also for corporates. We've done a lot of work for diplomatic missions in Zambia, and a lot of work for individuals. So we really are dedicated to becoming your law firm of choice if you want to buy property at home. And we have world-class software that we procured from here, from the UK. This software is used by most of the large law firms in the UK. And we're in the process of upgrading it so that you will be able to track your transaction online. So you'll be able to see, this is just a screenshot, but you'll be able to see all your documents online. You'll be able to see how far we've gone with your transaction. You'll be able to see what steps are remaining. So there, for example, you would have a copy of the title deed of the property that you're buying, obviously in the name of the vendor until you finish paying. And that's a property transfer tax clearance certificate. So those types of documents would be available to you all the time so that you would feel that you know exactly where we are in the process at all times. And the developers that we're working with, as I mentioned, they all have a proven track record. They all have title deeds to their properties, or they are in the process of obtaining them. Because some of these developers are quite large, they do things in phases. So if they don't have title to the property that you're interested in, then they're definitely working towards that. We also have a choice between virgin land and land with completed units, with apartments and with houses, for those who want an investment property that they can put on rent straight away. And all locations are in upcoming areas where property is appreciating. So in terms of the investment choice, they're all good choices. And we are also working with Chas Everett for those who want to know more about the locality. So at the moment we're starting with 4 developers, Chamuka Wildlife Estates, which is more of a lifestyle estate. We have Leopard's Rock, which is in New Kasama, they're doing virgin land. And we have Foxdale and Roma Park Homes, which are doing apartments. If you go onto our website, buyingpropertyinzambia.com, we have a map on the right-hand side, which will show you exactly where the property is. And we have a lot of information on these developments. I know for most of you, if you go onto the internet, there are a lot of real estate agents now from home who post their properties online. But the only thing that they're going to tell you is 3-bedroom house in Roma. That's it. You don't know anything else about the house. You don't know anything about the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. But if you go onto our website, we give you a lot of information about the neighborhood. Where is it? What is in the locality? Are there shopping malls? Are there restaurants? Are there recreational facilities? Are there schools nearby? Is there a church nearby? Because we know that some people may not know where these areas are. They might want to know other things that are going on. And this also helps you make a decision. Is this a property? Is it in a location I want to buy it? So we try and give you as much information as possible. So these are the financial institutions that we're currently in discussions with. As I mentioned, they are all regulated. And I want to emphasize this point. They are really eager to do business with you. When we talked to them about this concept, about the service, when I told them I was coming here, they were all very excited. And they were all very happy to give me their information, which we're going to give you at the back once we're through with everything. As His Excellency was saying, use this opportunity because they want your business. Use this opportunity to take advantage of the fact that they have their doors open right now. FNB is a very established South African bank which is very aggressively growing throughout Africa. And they already have a very small loan book which they're lending to Zambians living abroad. They really want to grow that loan book. Building Society, as you know, that is a government institution, and their mandate is to help Zambians buy a home, wherever those Zambians may be. Their loans are slightly shorter term, but because of the increase in interest rates, they are now going up to 15 years. Previously, they were only giving up to 10 years, so they're now on 15 years. Again, very Calmont Bank is not going to be offering mortgages for now, but they are coming up with a diaspora account, which is going to have other features which they feel will be attractive to you. Zambian Home Loans is very interesting because they provide loans for construction. So if you have a plot of land and you want to build, for so long as you have title on that land, they will help you build on that property. And what I think is good about Zambian Home Loans is that they oversee the process quite closely because they want to make sure that the money that they're lending you is actually being used on construction. So they have a whole team that they work with, surveyors, architects, etc. And they also have negotiated discounts with different suppliers for building materials. And then there's Madison. I know Madison have done some work in trying to reach the diaspora, but they're also very keen because they have a range of services. They are selling property, but they're also offering a unit trust which you can use to save. If you want to save for a mortgage or you want to save to buy a property, then Madison is very attractive. And I think that the interest rates you'll get on your foreign currency savings will probably be better with Madison than what you're earning here. They also offer stockbroking services for those who would like to engage more in the stock exchange. So I think that you can see that for whatever stage you're at, there is a financial institution that is ready to do business with you. If you want to save to buy the property, if you want to buy a property outright, or if you want to build. So there's a financial institution that's available for that. So just to say quickly, our team, who we are, there's myself obviously, as the managing partner for Latia and Shumia. There's Tanya, who you've met, who's our project manager based here, who has extensive experience of online marketing and sales. She's really been instrumental in putting the platform together. So thank you for that, Tanya. And then we have our IT and infrastructure support through Henry Investments, and Chipaza Vera is the principal. So he's been helping us with all the behind the scenes things that I don't even understand in terms of IT. But I've had to learn a lot in the process. So this is a team effort. And I think that what distinguishes us from other people who've come here and probably presented to you and told you about all the exciting property opportunities that are out there is the fact that we have a follow-on plan because Tanya is so strong in sales and marketing. We realize that we have to build a relationship with you. So this is just the start. It's not the end. This is just the beginning. So after this, you'll be receiving emails from us. You'll be asked to sign up for our newsletter. We'll be having webinars. So we'll definitely be engaging with you. This is not a one-off at all. So in terms of next steps is speak to us, let us know what you're looking for, let us know what you're interested in. I think I've spoken to almost everybody here, but please don't hesitate if you'd like to talk to me again or to Tanya. We just launched our website about 2 weeks ago, buyingpropertyinzambia.com. I was very pleased that URL was available. I was surprised no one had snapped it up. But please do visit our website. There's a lot of information on it. Follow us on Facebook. And we're very pleased that Ministry of Foreign Affairs not only gave us permission to have this function here, but also to have a second event in Pretoria as well. So we'll be planning that for next month. And I think this also speaks to our commitment in terms of what we're trying to provide to the diaspora. And as I mentioned, we have webinars that will be hosting over the next few months. So thank you very much. questions or comments?
I think this is the second time I'm hearing your presentation, because I was one of those people who came for the Indaba.
Oh, wonderful.
And during the policy, formation and everything. The only thing is we'd like to know, because they talked about land in Zambia, which is quite, especially in Lusaka, so difficult for people to get that land. And they spoke about traditional land, how you can get that, and then that there's 40% of land available to women. So it's something that maybe as a firm you need actually to look at that so that you can actually give us that information. Because for me, after that, Indaba, we were told you can go and see your chief or whatever. I went to see my chief and actually managed to get about 250 hectares.
That's very good. Yeah, that's fantastic. The only thing I would say about traditional land is that, yes, exactly. You can go and see your chief, and if he agrees, if the headman agrees, they can give you land. But in order, if you want to convert that land into a title deed, it's a very cumbersome process. And I was deputy chair of the Lands Tribunal for a few years. I just stepped down at the end of last year. And most of the land disputes that we got were over customary land. Because the area is not defined, they'll use landmarks, in the village, that hill, that what, so you get cases of encroachment, you get cases of disputes. So I think it's wonderful when your chief can give you land, but if you want real security of tenure and you want a resource that you can borrow, that you can sell, that you can use more extensively, then I would encourage people to either buy land that's already on title or convert that property into title.
That's what I'll be doing, But because the thing is, we know traditional chiefs have been selling land to foreigners at a very high, and then they are not doing it to the Indians, which I think is something that needs really to be redressed. Because a foreigner will come with $100,000. A Zambian like myself, he may not have that amount of money. But there is a way, anyway, I think the government is paving a way, just that the information, especially some of us went to that Indaba, a lot of people, we learned a lot of things, even the people in Zambia didn't know, especially from the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the Minister of Lands. I think the permanent secretary from the Minister of Lands really gave an insight of what is, how to go about things.
Yeah, we're sad to see him go, because he's been moved now to another ministry, unfortunately. He was very good.
Because at least there was no red tape. When you go, he was there available to try and help people, because as we are saying, the problem again in Zambia is corruption, and that's the truth. You have to give somebody something to go and see somebody in a certain office and things like that. So there are those barriers whereby by the time you are reaching where you need to reach, you've spent all that you came with. And unless you are doing something else,
Or you can hire a good lawyer like us.
Yes.
Yes, hi. Firstly, done a fantastic, transparent presentation. My question is, actually, when I was coming today for this event, I met a Zambian friend, or some Zambian big man, as we call him, Dada, and I actually told him I'm coming for this particular event, and he said, oh no, I'm never ever going to attend events like this, I'm never ever going to invest in Zambia. There's a place in Zambia, he told me, called Chalala, Chapel Union. He said he bought land there through a process like this. The house, I think, was getting up to slab level, and it was grabbed off him. Some land dispute, and he went through the Ministry of Lands, and he said to me, well, it's normal in Zambia, it's like these things can happen. You can buy land through the Ministry of Lands. Because I was saying to him that, no, I'll go through the Ministry of Lands. I want to buy of somebody. He said, yeah, through the Ministry of Lands, they can grab the title deeds and give you a reason. So my question is, obviously you're some and local professional. How do you assure the people who are there that such a thing will not happen? And then my second question again is, irrigation, what do you call them again? Maboho. Maboho. I've been told, you know, I like my country so much, but I have to address this thing. I've been told that, hold your throat. People drink each other's urine because of, you know, boreholes all over the place. How genuine are these boreholes, you know, in particular areas? You could explain. Thank you.
Thanks for that question. I think you brought up a very good point, and it speaks to what I said earlier about people not understanding land laws and not understanding land regulations. First of all, I want to make one thing clear. Ministry of Lands doesn't sell land. You can't buy land from Ministry of Lands. They have the power and authority to allocate every Zambian land. Just as our lady was saying here, maybe you get land from your chief. If you want to get title deeds, it has to go through a process which ultimately leads to Ministry of Lands allocating that land to you. So that's one misconception that people have, that you buy land from Ministry of Lands. You do not. Ministry of Lands will allocate, but also waiting for an allocation from Ministry of Lands, it's good if you can get it, but it's very difficult because the demand for land in certain areas is extremely high. If you want to go somewhere far like Shambombo, yes, you can get land, but most of us want land in Lusaka, in the Copper Belt somewhere. That land is extremely difficult. So if you're ready to pay a private person, a developer, or a seller for land, then there's plenty of land available. But waiting for Ministry of Lands to allocate you land can take a very long time. The second thing is what your colleague was telling you about the land being grabbed. When people choose to buy land without a lawyer, they can find themselves entangled in very unpleasant situations. I don't know the details of that particular transaction, but one of the things that any good lawyer should do is do a search on that property. And when you go to Ministry of Lands, you can get a printout which shows you the entire history of that property. And it will show you if there are any entries against that property. So if the government grabbed it, there should have been a notice to re-enter. And any lawyer would have picked that up and told him, don't buy because there's a notice to re-enter. Another thing is, you have to be very careful when you're buying undeveloped land, because the government sees land as a productive resource, and they give you a period of time in which to develop on it. Some people have had land for years, and it actually happens. I think our auntie here was telling us about the PS's presentation at the Indawa. And one of the things he pointed out is very often people in the diaspora find themselves in problems because they buy land and they fail to develop because they've been away. The government has every right to get that land from you and give it to somebody else who's going to make use of it. Even land that's been abandoned. So if somebody has started a structure but is not able to finish it, the government will put a notice to re-enter. But in having said that, there is a process and there's a procedure that has to be followed. And it's very clear in the law. It's not a random thing, somebody goes, oh, that land isn't developed, we're grabbing it tomorrow. No, it's not like that. There's a process that has to be followed. And if you can show that that process hasn't been followed, then it can be reversed. Like I said, I sat on the Lands Tribunal. We used to see notices of re-enter cases all the time. And if the government can't prove, if Ministry of Lands can't prove that they followed the right procedure, then we reverse it. So there is a system, and there is a system that works. But unfortunately, some people try and do things themselves and not understanding the process and the procedure and the law, and then they find themselves in a problem. And they think, I'm just never going to do that. So does that answer that question?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And then the second point is about boreholes. There are certain areas in Lusaka, as we all know, Lusaka has grown a lot, so there's a lot of pressure on utilities. That's why we've got load shedding, and obviously with the water levels being very low. But the other utility that has come under pressure, significant pressure, is water. So Lusaka water is struggling to meet the demand in Lusaka right now. But as a buyer, you also need to educate yourself on the area that you want to buy from. I can tell you Chalala has got huge problems with water. So if you're going to buy there, then you'll be faced with those challenges. I don't know if the water is intermingling, but those are questions, yes, that you should ask. Is there water in this area? You know, there are times when many years ago I was looking to rent a place, I always used to ask, is there water here? And they'll tell you, the tenants will tell you that, then you should know. If you're buying virgin land, like one of the developments that we have is New Kasama, then you know that you're going to be sinking your own borehole because Lusaka water doesn't go that far. But if it's a small holding, then you have more than enough space to sink your own borehole that nobody else will be accessing. But if you buy in a residential area which doesn't have water, then, you know, unfortunately, you do certain things at your own risk. So you just need to be more informed as a buyer.
Maybe just to add on the borehole thing, you know, sometimes it's a misconception. If you're going to do a shallow well, definitely there will be contamination. But if you're going to sink a bore which is 60 meters down, I don't see how there will be that contamination. That's why we have tolerance in the other compounds, because they use shallow wells. And for the septic tanks in the soakaways at the depth of 1.2 meters, there is cross-contamination. So there is a bit of untruth in the sense that there will be contamination in boreholes because of soakaways. It depends on the depth of the boreholes.
I was just going to make an appeal. As you talk to organizations such as the Madison and building societies, they are very poor in communicating. A few months ago, there was a delegation, a business delegation that came here. And most of these organizations were represented. Since then, people have raised questions. Actually, they've made the request for information, for more information. And as far as I know, there hasn't been any response. Just the communication is poor, generally.
That's very disappointing to hear. And I think that's why we wanted to come up with this service, because we understand what the challenges are, and we are definitely more responsive. I think you saw that when you went to our website, Mr. Zulu.
You responded.
Yes, you did. You went to the website, and we've got forms on almost every page, so that if you have a query or there's something you want to find out, then you just fill out a form on the website and you send it, and we respond to it. So we understand how important it is to have good communication, especially when people are away. And I think one of the things I should mention that made me think about the service is we had clients from the diaspora for some of our developer clients, and they would send me an email, and you know, usually you think within 24 hours, that's good business etiquette, you know, to respond to an email within 24 hours. But I noticed that my diaspora clients would get upset after a few hours. Like, why aren't you responding? Yes, so then I realized that, oh, this is a different kind of client that I'm dealing with. So we try to be much more responsive. But I understand what you're saying. I think for many of our partners, I should point out that for the developers, and also for the financial institutions, let me start with the developers, their job is to build or is to sell plots and provide services. They are not marketers. They are not salespeople. They are very poor on that. If you try and go onto their website, I think with the exception of maybe Chattanooga, the information is outdated, the website hasn't been uploaded or updated in years. So, you know, you'll try calling the number on the website, nobody's answering the phone. So for them, that is not really their area of strength. That's why they were keen to come on board onto this platform, because they do recognize that they're not so good on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, you know, one question on title deed. I know you've talked about it, but it's something that I would really want to understand more, because so many people complain about title deeds. People stay on land and they'll tell you to start building before you get your title deeds. And this title deeds take so long. So really, I would want to understand this, you know, how you go about, you know, getting that. Or do you need a lawyer all the time you get land?
Well, I mean, it yourself. There's nothing that stops you, but you'll face certain limitations. For example, you're here, and we have a whole department, and that's their job, is to process, to make sure that title deeds are processed. And they're at Ministry of Lands every day. And that's the kind of follow-up that it requires, because they're dealing with a lot of work, you know, it's title deeds from across the country. So it's not that it's impossible to get your title deeds, but it just requires a consistent follow-up at Ministry of Lands to make sure that the process is moving as it should. And then also, those are questions to ask when you are buying, because I find that a lot of people will be willing to buy on property that doesn't have title from somebody who they're not sure whether this title is ever going to come out, you know. And I can tell you that the process of subdividing land, it's quite cumbersome. It takes quite a bit of time. So it's important to deal with people who are used to that process, who know how it works, and who've done it several times, or to deal with developers who do it as a business. They know it's part of their business. But some of the most difficult conveyances that we've had to deal with in our office are from individuals who are subdividing themselves, because they get fatigued. They get fatigued with the process, they stall, and then, you know, our client is blaming us. Why aren't you pushing? But and I'm saying, but you know, you chose to buy from this person. And you know, I told you in the beginning that this would be a long process. So they start getting frustrated. So if you're buying, just be sure that the property that you're buying is on title. And if it's being subdivided, be sure that you're dealing with professionals who understand the subdivision process. Because I can tell you, individuals sometimes do get fatigued with it. And I'm not saying everybody. Some people are very good and they'll push and make sure your documents come out so that you can get your title. But others, you know. And another thing that often happens at home is death. So you find that a lot of people won't process their title deeds, or a lot of people don't see through a conveyancing to its conclusion. Maybe they just have a contract or a letter, and the person said, no, you can start building, so they build, and then the person passes away, and their family are trying to, you know, sort out the estate, no title deed. So now you have to start getting an administrator, and sometimes even both parties are deceased, the seller and the buyer. So I think it's also important sometimes to just make sure that your matters are concluded and not to leave things hanging. Sorry, those.
Could you just tell us a little bit about the fees that we would be expected to pay for this service that you've just presented to us today?
Okay, so we do have professional fees that we will be charging, which we'll offer on a payment plan to make it more affordable. And I'll be happy to talk to you about that later on, so I can give you more information.
Do you have any documents?
Yes.
With those fees on? I didn't see any.
Yeah, we have some more information at the back.
Yes. Probably a very broad question, but I want to know, how does one actually start if one wants to purchase property? What's the first thing that one has to do?
The first thing you have to do is identify the type of property that you want. Do you want virgin land? Do you want a finished apartment? Mm-hmm. And then also, I think the most important thing is your price point.
Right.
Yeah, that is the most important thing, because that will determine where you can buy. Yeah, because like I said, there's so many different options now.
Yeah.
At different price ranges. Yeah. So that's a good place to start, to say this is my budget.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is the type of property I'm looking for.
Okay. And I notice most of your properties tend to be in Lusaka. Do you go beyond?
We do want to go beyond Lusaka.
Okay.
But we started with these 4 developers because in putting a platform together like this, there's a lot of work involved. Right. And we felt that would have been a bit overwhelmed if we tried to start getting other properties outside Lusaka at the initial stage.
Okay.
First, we wanted to launch, but we have a number of developers that are excited to come on, who are looking at outside Lusaka, in the Copperbelt and also in Solwezi, which is a really up-and-coming town.
I ask because I'm aware that properties are considerably cheaper elsewhere, compared to Lusaka. So just wondering whether you actually be able to branch out beyond the capital. Okay. Third question, very quickly: are we able to have a copy of this presentation by any chance?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Are we going to email it to people?
I will send it out. Okay. Brilliant.
Well, I think there was a piece of paper going around. Please make sure that you write your email address on that piece of paper so that we can email this.
So Lauren's question was a bit good. So is it just homes, or can you go for commercial properties? Some of us would like to.
We are not going to be offering commercial property.
Can somebody apply for commercial property if it's for a good cause? If somebody has done research, as you could say earlier, and you realize that probably there's people around here, they will require a certain service. So can one apply for commercial property if they're prepared to even pay a little bit extra?
Yeah, they can do. If that's something that would be of interest to you, that you want commercial property, then it's something that we could take as a special case. But most of the properties that we've listed so far have been residential. But yeah, we could certainly look at that if that was your requirement. Yes, please.
This is from the financials. I don't know if I missed a point from you or not. If we're trying to get the money overseas from the financials, I know in Zambia that in most cases, or should I say all the time, they want collateral as assured for them to give you the money. Now, in this case, that this is me that wants, say, property through you. How are they going to be so sure that I'm going to pay them the money? Or
yeah, that's a good question. So what we would do, for example, you come through us and you tell us that, okay, I want to get a mortgage. So we will tell you what the bank's requirements are, the documents that they need in order to assess your application. And then the bank has to satisfy itself that you are a good credit risk. So they will look at all the documents that you provide. They'll look at your employment, they'll look at your payslip, and they may do their own due diligence on you. So they may choose to confirm your employment with your employer. They may call your employer. They might want to see your right of stay in the country in which you are a resident. So it's very much like the process you would go through here. So a bank will want to take a view of your credit worthiness. And then they'll come to a decision that, yes, we think we can lend to this gentleman. And also, of course, the asset will be in Zambia. So that also gives them the assurance. And that's what the collateral will be on the property that you're buying.
Because, sorry, my thinking was that I think you'd take a bigger part of assurance yourselves, because this is something that I've tried with some of the banks in Zambia.
Okay.
Finance bank, to be honest. Some of the things that they were asking for, I think if you are this side, you wouldn't provide them. Okay. Much of it, as I said, is collateral title deeds. So I suppose that's my first building. Don't you think a lot of us will be falling off it?
No, because we assume that you're borrowing to. I assume that you're borrowing to buy the property in Zambia or to build on the property in Zambia. So that property is then going to be secured by the bank. They'll use that property as your collateral. Yeah. They wouldn't want to secure any property here because it wouldn't make sense for them to do that. So the very same property that you want to buy is what they would use as their collateral.
Makes sense.
Any other questions? Well, thank you very much. I'm so happy that it's been a lively discussion and that there were a lot of questions and a lot of comments. I think you've given us even more food for thought. and even given input for Ministry of Foreign Affairs to take hold of. So thank you. Just once again, we want to thank His Excellency, our host, and I'd like to thank also our project manager, Tanya, and I'd like to thank her entire family who came and helped put this function together. That's Mr. and Mrs. Loriman and the two sisters there in the back, Mulenga and Malama. Thank you very much.